Okay, yeah, I was wanting to make this video since I'm your neighborhood-friendly professional video editor. I see a lot of people getting render, transcode, export mixed up. So I just wanted to give a example of what the three different things are. A lot of people think it's the same word for the same thing, but they're actually all three completely separate tasks that you're doing. So first of all, I'll just go ahead and talk about transcode. So if I scrub through it like this, you can see that it's not updating the frames at all. There is no scrubbing. So, if I stop and hit play, then even right now it's being really glitchy. See? So what we need to do is we need to get this down to a codec that the computer can handle easier. So by doing that, I just click on the video file. I go to proxy, go to create proxy, and then it brings up media encoder, and I just start that. So we'll just let it work. Okay, so now that's done, we can come back to Premiere. We can toggle our proxies, and before I do that, as we're scrubbing, you can see it's not doing anything. It's taken forever and a day to update. Well, if I toggle my proxy, I can immediately scrub. I can immediately scrub, and I can hit play, and then it's playing. And all this is just a video file that helps me edit. This in no way impedes the actual file itself. So as a recap, basically transcode is generally whenever I convert the video file I'm working with to another video file while I'm still with the editing process. And so, like, say for instance, I export some stuff for Blu-ray compliant video and I open up Encore. Well, I can click on the audio track and choose it to transcode to Dolby Digital from WAV, and it'll convert that file from WAV to Dolby Digital, but I still haven't exported it because I'm still within the application. It's still there. It's not until I actually build the disk image that I export it. Okay, the second thing we need to talk about is render. Render is generally whenever I have a video file and I need to get a quick peek basically at how it looks. So like with this, I filmed this random house. As you can see, it's 60 frames per second. Looks great, plays great. But say for instance, I want to add a effect to it. So I'm going to add some effects to it. And now let's play it. As you can see, it's really, really choppy. It's not doing anything. So basically what I'll do is I'll put an in and an out point, and then I'll render it. So basically now what it's doing is it's rendering those effects on the video file itself. And so now is when I get up and I go get a cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, whatever editors generally do during this time, go to the restroom. Whenever it's rendering, that's generally break time. So we set it to render, we go take a break, and then when we come back, we'll continue. Okay, so as you can see, the red shows the video is not rendered, the green shows the video is rendered. Yellow just means that there's no need to render it because the hardware can play in real time. So those are the three colors. But anyway, so again, as you see, if I press play on this, it plays it for, about a second and a half, and then just goes to garbage. So now I'll go to the rendered portion, and I'll hit play. And as you can see, smooth as silk, 60 frames a second. And then it hits the non-rendered part and goes basically down to 1 frame every 3 seconds. So that is the power of rendering. Rendering is just something where I'm rendering the effects. It completely takes place in the video application. All I'm doing is just making it to where I can work with this better. See, it's impossible to work with this because I can't see how it's going to look in real time. So I have to render it. And then I can look and be like, okay, I like the way the effect looks. So now I can export it. So now let's talk about export. So export is what you do when you get your video file out of the application and into a deliverable format. And deliverable means, you know, whether I be putting it on YouTube, I'm putting it on Facebook, I'm sending it as an attachment in an email, I'm burning it to a disk. In this case, we'll export it to YouTube. So I go to File, I go to Export, I go to Media. Give it a second. And then I'll choose my YouTube 1080p 60 preset. And then I choose Export. And then it exports that to the YouTube preset. Okay, and as you see that it's exported, now I can upload it to YouTube. That's one method to export, and another method to export is we go export media and then we choose Q. And that way it sends it to Adobe Media Encoder. And then I can start the queue. And while it's doing that, I can come back to Premiere and start working on my next video. So yeah, so there's that. So export is how you deliver your final video. Now I realize that things get a little complicated whenever we start talking about other applications, because other applications don't quite understand how the three terms work out. Case in point, Sony Vegas, now just simply Vegas. Okay, so if we look at Vegas, things get a little bit confusing with Vegas. So if I come to File and I go to Export, basically it's just saying I can export as a .veg file, a .aaf file, a .preproj file. So pretty much just saying I can export the entire project as a project that one of these other applications can read. But that's not an export. I mean, that's a... I can't remember what that term is, but that's not an export. So what I do is I come to Render As, and it takes it a second to think. Of course. And then at that point, I can choose my video file here, you know, MPEG 2, choose that, and then go to Render. And basically it shows me this progress meter of it rendering. That's not a render, guys. That's an export, because I'm getting this file out of Vegas as a deliverable format. And so that doesn't make any sense to me. Why they do it that way? Vegas, I guess Sony doesn't know what proper video editing technique is, so they do it wrong. But anyway, so yeah, that's just to get everybody on the same page. So just a recap. Transcode is when I have a file, I need to convert it to another format for the process of my editing. You convert the format before you go to a final export. So that would either be to convert it into a less compressed file to edit with, or convert to a different type of file to export, or so on and so forth. Render is when you have effects or other things like that on the video and it's bogging down the system. So you just render that particular video file, and then it makes all that as a separate video clip. So when you get to that, the application points to a separate video clip that's on your PC, and it plays that in real time because it's already been converted. And then export is whenever we wrap up the entire project and send it out as a deliverable format, whether to upload to Facebook, upload to YouTube, upload to Instagram, or burn to a Blu-ray or DVD, or upload to a broadcast standard digital file for broadcast. So that's basically those three terms. That's the difference. And if you're using them wrong, Now you know what the correct form of each term is. They're each 3 for a completely different task in the video editing process. So thanks for listening to me yammer about this, and peace out.